What's up, everybody? This is Andrew Grants, mental performance coach and founder and creator of Greater Goal Athletics. Today, I want to talk to us about gratitude. You see, there's three main factors that are keeping athletes from reaching their full potential and performing to the best of their abilities. Those three main factors are stress, fear, and anxiety. But what we need to understand going forward is that the absolute best medicine to combat stress, fear, and anxiety is gratitude. John Gordon says it this way, that research shows that you cannot be stressed and you cannot be thankful at the same time. Now, what's great about that is with mental performance, and like most anything with mental performance, you get to choose whether you feel stressed or whether you feel blessed. And that's a choice that we are constantly getting to make. You know, the wonderful thing about gratitude is it has multiple health benefits. I'll give you an example here and I'll paint this picture so you can see exactly what I mean. There was a study done by Andrew Huberman. He's a neuroscientist and he does a lot of studies on neuroplasticity and how you can change the brain, but also how the brain affects human performance. And they were doing this study and they had this mouse in a cage. And in this cage, it was just big enough that the wheel would fit in the cage and the mouse could live on the wheel, but he could never get off the wheel. So if you imagine that, anytime the mouse would sleep, it would be on the wheel. Anytime it would eat, it would be on the wheel. And anytime that it would want to run, it could because it was on the wheel. So this mouse lived in this cage and it started to see multiple health benefits, just like any of us would from exercising. So this mouse would run however many times a day and its health improved. Well, what they did in this experiment is they took a second mouse and they put the second mouse in another cage, but they connected the wheels. So the cage for mouse number 2 was the same as mouse number 1, whereas mouse number 2 was on a wheel and it would eat on the wheel, it would sleep on the wheel, and it could run on the wheel. But the only difference was that mouse number 2's wheel was connected to mouse number 1's wheel. So anytime that mouse number 2 decided that it wanted to run, it made the wheel turn for mouse number 1. Now here's where it gets interesting. Mouse number 1, who was still running, became more stressed and became more fearful because it didn't get to choose when it was going to run or choose its attitude towards running on the wheel. And what they found is because of this stress, fear, and anxiety, that mouse number 1, the same health benefits that it saw from the exact same activity of running on the wheel actually deteriorated. Its health declined because of the stress level that was placed on it. So what I want us to take away from that is that mouse number 1 had the exact same activity in the exact same cage on the exact same wheel. But the meaning that mouse number 1 chose to give the activity totally changed how its body responded. Now, how can we apply that to our athletic performance? Well, two ways to think about it is a have to versus a get to attitude. You see, every day we get to choose a have to versus get to attitude. I'll give you an example. It's for an athlete. Today, do you go to practice and say, I have to go to practice. I have to do the drills that coach is telling us to do. Or maybe a coach takes you out of the game, you go, I have to sit on the bench. Versus, do you go into practice with an attitude, a get-to attitude of, I get to go to practice today, I get to improve my game, I get to become better, I get to be with my teammates, I get to learn something new, I get to be challenged to grow. Or the coach takes you out of the game and you say, I get to sit on the bench and watch and learn how I can be better next time that I go into the game. You see, simply changing that mindset, that blessed versus stressed mindset, that have to versus get to mindset, totally changes our physical response and what we will do in that moment. Because if you're going into practice and you're going into the daily grind of trying to become the best athlete or the best coach that you possibly can, and you have a have to attitude that I have to be here, then you're not going to give that activity the most enthusiasm and the most energy that you can give it. And if you're not giving it energy and enthusiasm, then you're never going to be able to use your body to its fullest ability to get everything out of yourself that you possibly can. But if you go into it with a get-to attitude, that you get to be there, you're excited to be there, you have energy to be there, your enthusiasm to be there is through the roof, then your body naturally is going to produce more, it's going to perform at a higher level, and you're going to get more out of the time that you put in. So for today's activity, what I want you to do is just take 5 minutes, is all this really would take. Just take 5 minutes. And just reflect on your normal day, whether it's school, whether it's your job, whether it's practice, whether it's with family, whatever it might be. Change your mindset and write down, whatever it might be, write down those things that you have a have to attitude. For example, it might be eating. You might have a food that you don't like very much, that you don't want to eat, but you know it's healthy for you. It'll help your performance. It'll help your life later on down the road, just being healthier. How many of us go, I have to eat this healthy food today because it's just something I have to do, versus I get to eat this healthy food because it's going to help my performance, it's going to help me be healthier, it's going to help me live longer, it's going to help me have a better attitude, it's going to help me my mind function better. So just write down, it could be something as simple as that. Just write down everything in your day. Take the next 5 minutes, write down everything in your day that you have a have to attitude about. And then go back through on that same page at the bottom of it and take those have to statements and rewrite them as get to statements with the benefit that you get from those get to statements and what those things are doing for you. And you see, that's how we incorporate gratitude into our daily lives. And when we do that, it reduces the fear, stress, and anxiety that is keeping us from reaching our full potential, that is keeping us from performing to the best of our abilities. It's allowing us to choose a blessed mentality instead of a stressed mentality. So take 5 minutes, knock that out, and start to apply the get-to mentality versus the have-to mentality. Start to apply the get-to mentality to every single day of your life, and notice when you start to make those have-to statements and change them to get-to statements. And I promise you, you will see a major difference in your life.